So a couple weeks ago, I made a video on the channel ranking every NBA team's best player from 30 to 1. And you guys really enjoyed that video and talking in the comments and just debating on that topic. So in today's video, what a lot of you guys commented in that video was, let's rank every NBA team's second best player. So yeah, there's some debate for some teams' second best player. So you can let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my picks down below. And if you guys want to see maybe do this with every team's third best player, drop a like on the video.
One thing that I just love to do to spice up watching the NBA, either it's at home or going to the game, is playing fantasy sports. Today's video is sponsored by the easiest way to play fantasy sports all NBA season, and that is Underdog Fantasy. It's my favorite place to play fantasy games. My favorite part about Underdog is the pick'em feature that is super easy to play. You pick 2 to 5 stats of your favorite players or either a game you plan on watching or following, and choose if they can go higher or lower. It could be in personal fouls, it could be in points, it could be in triple doubles. I recently hit a 4 picks for $100 on Christmas Day, where I got Josh Hart to get higher than 7 points, Damian Lillard to get higher than 25.5 points, Jalen Brunson higher than 4.5 free throws made. And then another thing that I love that Underdog does is promos at times, which you can combine in a pick 'em play. And this was 1 point equals you win for Giannis Antetokounmpo. All I needed him to get was over a half a point. And they'll do plenty of those throughout the season as well. And if you get all your picks right, you can make up to 20 times your money on a single NBA game. You can also do rivals picks as well, which pits 2 players against each other. And that could be in your typical points, rebounds, and assists as well. So yeah, what are you waiting for? Sign up at Underdog Fantasy today at underdogfantasy.com or the App Store. And use my promo code SROS to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. You also receive a new customer special, or aka a mystery pick, which will get you a pick'em special in your lobby when you sign up using code SROS that you can see on your screen now. You also must be a certain age in your state to play Underdog Fantasy. Every state that's legal to play Underdog will be in the description below. And please, like always, remember to play responsibly. So yeah, use code SROS at sign up to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. And thank you again to Underdog for sponsoring today's video.
So let's start things off with the Utah Jazz and let's talk about Jordan Clarkson. So I got Jordan Clarkson coming in at number 30 pretty much because he's a one-way role player. Like, Clarkson is somebody that's going to either start for you or come off the bench, not be the most efficient player in the world, but could get you buckets when you need it. And it feels like when you're down by like 8 or 10 points, he's somebody that could just go on a run. Some people do call him the flamethrower, and he can kind of go on a hot streak. He's pretty much a career 42% from the field guy and 33% from 3 guys. So not really the most efficient in the world, but still a good scorer nonetheless. Has definitely improved as a playmaker this year though. So coming in at number 29, we're going to talk about the Washington Wizards. Going into the year, we definitely would have talked about Jordan Poole, but we're going to talk about Denny Avdia instead. You could also talk about Daniel Gafford, Bilal Coulibaly, or Tyus Jones in here as well. The Wizards, it feels like, have a lot of those guys in that one specific tier. Avdia has given the Wizards around 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists this year. He's definitely upped his efficiency as well. He could shoot around 50% from the field and 35% from 3. I do wonder what his scoring numbers would look like if he wasn't playing with ball-dominant forwards like Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. So coming in at number 28, we're going to talk about the Brooklyn Nets. I feel like you could talk about a couple guys for them. You could mention Nick Claxton. You could mention Cam Thomas. I'm going to talk about Cam Johnson. And Cam Johnson is pretty much that good, sharp shooter from downtown. He's going to shoot almost 42% for you this season. But if he's really your second best guy, I don't really think you're going far. And the Nets are pretty much in no man's land right now as a team. And let me know in the comments, would you rather have put Nick Claxton here or Cam Thomas? All right, so number 27, we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors, and I guess their second best player is still Klay Thompson. You could talk about Draymond Green just because of how good he is on the defensive side of the floor, but he's been suspended multiple times this year. Andrew Wiggins and Chris Paul have both regressed, and I don't think Moses Moody or Kuminga have really taken that much of a leap this year to be the number 2 guy on this team after Steph Curry. So it's really sad to see kind of the Warriors fall off a little bit after we all saw that dynasty come up in the mid-2010s. And Klay is still a good player, don't get me wrong. He's still going to be an elite 3-point shooter, but he's just not the player he used to be, and he's definitely not the defender he once was before he had those 2 major leg injuries. All right, coming in at number 26, this is a win for the Detroit Pistons. Haven't had many of those this year. We'll talk about Bojan Bogdanovic. Cade Cunningham in the best player from every team video, and he's definitely their top guy. Now with him being out, we're seeing Bojan as that number 1 option. And I feel like the Pistons have to move him at the deadline because he could probably net them a pretty solid return. He's averaging 20 points. He's shooting 47% from the the field and 41% from 3. But yeah, I don't think it's really best for the Pistons rebuild having somebody that's almost 35 years old be their second best player. All right, so let's go to San Antonio for number 25, and we'll talk about Devin Vassell. You could also go with Keldon Johnson here as well, and I think Vassell is a really good 3-level scorer. I loved him when he came out of Florida State in the 2020 draft. The thing about Vassell is, though, I feel like his playmaking is a little bit stagnant at times, and he could be inconsistent on the defensive side of the floor as well, which definitely frustrates me for somebody that owns a lot of Vassell stock. So yeah, he's coming in at number 25 for now. You guys can let me know in the comments if you think that's too low. I talked about Alperen Şengün as the best player for the Rockets, but I feel like number 2 is Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet has had a good year 1 in Houston so far. He's helped them on the defensive side of the floor. He's been a phenomenal playmaker, one of the top passers this year, and is up there in the assist leaderboards. He's an elite 3-point shooter, is just below 40%. He's an elite free throw shooter as well at 87%. It's just his overall 2-point percentage isn't great, and he's just shooting 40% from the field. All right, for number 23, we're going to talk about one of the more underrated players in the league, and that's Scary Terry Rozier. We don't really talk about Scary Terry a lot just because he's on the Charlotte Hornets, and ever since he signed with them in the 2019 offseason, they haven't really been good. But Rozier is having quietly a borderline all-star year. He's averaging 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists a night for the Hornets, and he's actually been efficient as well. 46% from the field, 37% from 3, and 87.5% from the line. And he could go for multiple first-round picks at the deadline if Charlotte did decide to move him. And speaking about underrated players, it's really just because they're on bad teams. So coming in at number 22, we're going to talk about Jeremy Grant of the Portland Trailblazers, who have not been good this year. Because we talked about Anthony Simons in the best player video. Grant has had a quiet 22 point per game season, shooting 46% from the field and 41% from 3. He's just not been a good rebounder or a playmaker. He doesn't really have good court vision or basketball IQ, it seems like at times. But hey, at least he's putting up 22 points and shooting 41% from 3 on a team that is not even going to sniff the play-in tournament. So this is where it gets very tough to make this ranking. Coming in at number 21, we're going to talk about Miles Turner of the Indiana Pacers. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of good players coming up in the next 20 spots. And Miles Turner is one of the better rim protectors in the league. He's a good floor spacing big man. He's going to shoot around 35% from downtown. He's going to give you almost 8 rebounds a night and almost 18 points. And I feel like he's just so vital to the Pacers defense, which has not been good this season. And I feel like they'd be historically bad if they didn't have Miles Turner commanding that paint. So coming in at number 20, we're going to talk about Franz Wagner of the Orlando Magic. Franz has been very solid this year for the Magic in year 3. He's given them 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists a night. He's improved on the defensive side of the floor as well, as the Magic have been one of the better defensive teams in the NBA. The one knock on Franz, though, has been his 3-point shooting, where he's been abysmal from downtown this year, shooting just 28% from 3 on almost 5 attempts a night. Coming in at number 19, we're going to Chicago. We talked about Zach LaVine in the other video, so we're going to talk about DeMar DeRozan right now. And DeRozan has just been pretty consistent. What we've known about DeMar DeRozan throughout his full career. He's averaging 22 points, 4 rebounds, 5.5 assists, which is actually an improvement in that part of his game. He's also shooting 35% from 3, so hey, we got to give DeMar props for improving his outside shooting. And he's another player in this video that I think could get moved at the deadline as well, since he's an expiring contract and is most likely not going to be on the Bulls next year. All right, we have another player that could possibly get moved at the deadline as well, coming in at number 18, and that's DeJounte Murray of the Atlanta Hawks. Hey, you could throw Jalen Johnson in this video right here, and I wouldn't bat an eye. But no, DeJounte Murray, in my opinion, is still the second best player on the Hawks. He's going to give you 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists a night. He's improved his game as an outside shooter this year, shooting just under 40% from 3. I think he's a little bit overrated as a defender, but he's still not a negative on that side of the floor. I do think it'd be silly for Atlanta to move him at the deadline, but hey, anything is possible because Atlanta has been very disappointing this season. Speaking about disappointing teams this year, we're going to talk about Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies. I was going back and forth on who I think should be here between Desmond Bane and Triple J. Let me know who you would have chosen in the comments below. So with the suspension to Ja Morant, and now he's going to be out for the remainder of the season, we'd like to have seen maybe a bigger jump offensively from Triple J, but he's still one of the better defenders in the league. Obviously, he's the reigning defensive player of the year from last year. He's still not a good rebounder for a power forward. His block shots are down, and it doesn't seem like he's that force at the rim that he was last year, but I still value his really good defense and his ability to be an above average 3-point shooter for a big man, and that's why he's coming in at the number 17 spot. I feel like we could segue all these spots next to each other because we're going to talk about another big man that could block shots and shoot threes here at number 16, and that's Chet Holmgren of the OKC Thunder. Also for the Thunder, I had kind of a struggle on who I wanted to put here between J-Dub and Holmgren. I decided to go with Holmgren just for what he could do on the defensive side of the floor, and he's a rookie, man. He's just played 36 games in the NBA, and he's already averaging 18 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 3 assists a night. Oh yeah, 2.5 blocks, and is going to shoot 40% from 3 for someone that's 7'1". We're going to go up to the land here and we're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers at number 15, and it's Darius Garland. I think Garland is somebody like Triple J that has had somewhat of a disappointing season. He's only played in 20 games. He had a major jaw injury that he's been out pretty much since December, and he's still going to give you 21 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists a night. He's going to shoot well from the field, from 3, and from the line, but we would have just liked to see a little bit more from Garland in year number 5 to start it off after he had such a good 2023 season, but a letdown in the playoffs. Also, I didn't know that Garland was from Gary, Indiana. Just, I guess, the more you know. Coming in at 14 is somebody that balled out in the 2023 playoffs. He got a ring. It's Jamal Murray of the Denver Nuggets. Murray has been dealing with some injuries this year as well. Has played in only 25 games, but he's been very efficient in those games where he's been shooting 47% from the field, 41% from 3, and just under 90% from the line. I will say, though, Jamal Murray is one of my favorite players to watch in this league. He's not one of the best guards in the NBA, but I feel like he's so flashy and crafty with the ball in his hands. And I watched him play the Detroit Pistons the other night where Jokic was like, I'm only going to take 3 shots. I watched Murray drop 37 points, and it was just so much fun to watch over the course of those 2.5 hours. So I went with Pascal Siakam for the Toronto Raptors in the other video, so that means we're going to talk about Scotty Barnes here today, and he's coming in at number 13. Scotty Barnes has officially broke out in year number 3, where he's giving the Raptors 20.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, and just under 6 assists a night. So yeah, he's being an insane playmaking power forward. He can also play the shooting guard, the small forward, and sometimes a small ball 5 spot, and he's also shooting 38% from 3. So this guy's just been so good in every aspect of his game this year. Still gotta give some love to Kyrie Irving, man. The dude is still a beast, and he's coming in at number 12. Kyrie had a great game the other night against the New York Knicks in the absence of Luka Doncic. He's still putting up 24 points a night on elite efficiency. He's still one of the best ball handlers in the league, still one of the better crafty guards. He can still play off ball. Obviously, he can still run an offense, and he's still one of the more entertaining players to watch in the NBA. So just missing out on the top 10, I'm going with Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans because I went with Zion Williamson in the other video. And Ingram is still a very good forward in this league, somebody that's going to give you north of 20 points, over 4.5 rebounds, over 5 assists a night. He's been healthy this year for the Pelicans. He's still a solid defender, and he still may be one of the more underrated players in the league. I do wonder if he's going to be an all-star this season because there's so many good frontcourt deserving players in the Western Conference, but the Pelicans, I feel like, need an all-star since they've been a very good team this year. All right, so let's start off this top 10 list with Tyrese Maxey, the Philadelphia 76ers. So yeah, you can let me know in the comments if this is a little bit of recency bias with Maxey since he's fully breaking out just this year in year number 4, but I mean, he's putting up 26 points and 7 assists a night, shooting 45% from the field, 37% from 3, and 87% from the line. He's also a good two-way player as well. I think he's actually taken a jump defensively this year also. He's so quick with the ball in his hands. He's one of the best players in transition, and I feel like that right side of the hoop layup that he can go up there with the finger roll every time is just automatic, and he's one of the better inside scorers in the game. All right, coming in at number 9. We got Julius Randle of the New York Knicks. Now, before you call me biased, this man is a 2-time All-Star in New York, 2-time All-NBA member. He's averaging 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists a night, and shooting 47% from the field. Is he a good 3-point shooter? No. Is he an elite defender? No. But he's one of the better offensive power forwards in the NBA, and in my opinion, he's a top 10 number 2 option in all of the league. I do think Julius Randle is somewhat overhated in this league, and if everybody's gonna call him overrated, you're not overrated anymore. Coming in at number 8, we got Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we all know that the Timberwolves have been phenomenal this season in the Western Conference, and Cat is almost gonna be a 50-40-90 guy this year as a 7-foot power forward. He's shooting over 50% from the field. He's shooting over 40% from 3. He's shooting 89.9% from the line. Yeah, there's a realistic chance he's a 50-40-90 big man this year who's going to also give you 22 points and 9 rebounds a night. Cat 100% deserves to be in the top 10. Coming in at number 7, we have somebody that got the Supermax in the offseason. It's Jaylen Brown. Now, I don't think we need to look at Brown differently just because he's now making $60 million a year. Well, it's not even technically this year. It's going forward. Next year, the contract will kick in. But Brown is still a really good player. In my opinion, he's still a top 10 number 2 option in this league. He could be a number 1 option in my opinion. Now, I don't know if that team could win a championship, but he could still score 25 points on a winning team as the number 1. But obviously with Jason Tatum in Boston, he will never be the number 1. He's putting up 23.5 points, 5 rebounds a night, shooting just under 50% from the field, and is shooting right at 36% from 3, and is still a good defender in the league. Like Randall, I think this player has become somewhat underrated, and he's coming in at number 6, and that's Domantas Sabonis. I mean, Sabonis is a 3-time All-Star. He was on an All-NBA team last year. He may be on one this year. This guy can put up triple doubles as a 6'10 power forward / center. He's averaging 7.7 assists, which is a career high this season. He's really developed that aspect of his game. He's one of the best rebounders in the league. He led the league in rebounds last year and is currently leading the league in rebounds this year. He doesn't take a ton of threes, but he's shooting 39% on the 1.2 attempts he takes a night, and I think we have to respect Domas more. This player is coming in at number 5 because I value his defense so much. He was my preseason defensive player of the year pick, and that's Bam Adebayo. I do think Bam Adebayo deserves a deploy. I don't know if it's going to be this year because Rudy Gobert is having a phenomenal defensive season, but Bam is still one of the best centers in the league. He averages 22 and 10. He's a very good playmaker for somebody at the center spot. He's one of the best ball handlers in the NBA too as a big man. And if Bam ever develops a 3-point shot, he could be a top 10 player in the league if that happened. All right, coming in at number 4, we got Paul George of the LA Clippers. I mean, it's all reliable PG. The dude is giving you 23.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 4 assists a night. He's one of the most smoothest players to watch in the NBA. He's somebody that's going to get to his own shots. His jumper just looks so good. He's an elite free throw shooter. He's an elite 3-point shooter. And I don't think his defense has dropped off too much yet. I think he still has a little bit left in the tank. Hopefully we see a healthy PG-13 in the playoffs this year. And we can remember him as playoff P, not pandemic P. All right, the top 3 here. I think it's a consensus top 3, but you could order it in any type of way. So coming in at number 3, we got Damian Lillard of the Milwaukee Bucks. So yeah, this is Damian Lillard's pretty much first year in a while that he's been the number 2 option, obviously behind Giannis Antetokounmpo. His field goal percentage hasn't been great this year. It's pretty much aligned with his career average at 43%. He's still a good playmaker, could still be one of the best scoring guards in the league. I think his defense has definitely taken a hit though this year, and that's why he's coming in at number 3, because the 2 guys ahead of him have both been to NBA Finals, as arguably the number 1 option at that time. So coming in at number 2, we got Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns, obviously since KD is the number 1 guy still. And yeah, Devin Booker was the best player on that 2021 Western Conference champion Suns team. He's still the best shooting guard in the NBA in my opinion. And this year as a point guard, he's averaged 8 assists a night for Phoenix, and he's shooting 38% from 3, 48% from the field, 88% from the line. He's averaging 26 points a night, and I think he definitely deserves to be in the top 2. But coming in at number 1, it's funny because this team is not great this year, but he's somebody that's in the defensive player of the year conversation. He averages 26 and 12, and he has 56, 36, 81 splits for a 6'10 big man, and that's Anthony Davis. Yep, I'm going with AD as the best number 2 option in the NBA for just what he is on both ends of the floor, as he's an elite offensive player and an elite defensive player. He has looked so good this year. It is just a shame that the LA Lakers, though, have not had that team success that they would have liked. But yeah, AD still just 30 years old. I think as long as he's playing with LeBron, at least until LeBron retires, he's going to be at the top of this list. So yeah, that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with in the comments below. And yeah, like I said, drop a like if you want to see me do this with maybe the 3rd best player on every team in the league, ranking that 30-1. And thank you again to Underdog for sponsoring today's video. Please, if you are going to sign up using my code SROS, which is the link in the description, play responsibly. You don't want to take the fun out of it. It's really fun to add that additional aspect to the game of watching sports with your friends or going to a live event. So just play with what you can lose. Please, once again, play responsibly. I can't stress that enough. So thank you all for watching. I love you guys. Drop a like if you did enjoy, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.